that I've been a bit unwell. Right. Great. So with that, I have turned on the recording for the session. First of all, welcome everybody to the seminar series. I could see many of you are frequent listeners to the discussion, and it's been a nice venue for sharing ideas and papers which are in development, and a good venue for constructive feedback from a friendly audience. The seminar series is, well, it says working group 2. It should be working group 2 and 5 initiatives. It's usually the first Wednesday of every month, and it's recorded and posted online. We've got 2 great speakers today, or actually 3 speakers, 2 great presentations. The first one, I just want to make a quick note, is part of another initiative coming from the Diginet seminar series, which is a research topic with frontiers in psychology on age and migration status, intersectional forms of discrimination and exclusion. This is actually the second research topic which we've hosted. Pesha Jankova, who is the co-lead for the Diginet Cost Action Program, and I have hosted both research topics. The first one was in 23 to 24, and we got such a good response. We did a second one. This is looking at how aging and migration might lead to unequal access to various resources that people might need to have a life which they value. It includes work, but it spans beyond that to look at issues of healthcare, social exclusion, legal and policy regimes, economic security, etc. Obviously, it's a very topical issue right now with everything that's going on in the world. The papers are open. The submissions for the research topic are open until the 1st of June. But last year we asked for abstracts and expressions of interest to look at the broad range of topics which could be covered. And over the next couple of months, as part of the seminar series, we'll be hosting discussions of the papers which are in development for the research topic. So if you're interested in the research topic, the link is right there. I'll put it into the Teams chat box as well, and I'd be very happy if you're interested in the topic, you want to submit an abstract a little bit early, drop a line to me, and of course, if you'd like to speak on this for the seminar series, be very happy to host you. And the first speakers are Alexandra-Babii and Eda Orhun, who put in a paper on digital literacy influences on aging well amongst elderly immigrants. And I will now pass the floor over to Alexandra and Eda. I'll stop sharing my slide and they'll be able to share theirs.
Okay, thank you. I will be sharing the presentation. Let me check first here. Is it okay? Do you see it?
Yes, we see it.
perfectly. Thank you for the opportunity to present our ideas in the making, because it's a work in progress. I was very delighted when Eda wrote to me to work together on this topic. I had many trials a couple of months ago to work on a project with people from Cost Action, but now it's a success. And I think this theme fits really well the special issue from the frontiers that Matt talked about now. Just a couple of things about me and about Eda. I'm from Iași, from Romania, and my background is on communication studies. I focused more on disinformation, fake news, and critical thinking, but also on other subjects. And Eda is studying in Bulgaria at American University and also in Turkey. And she's background is in finance. I will present the first part of the presentation on the concept, a bit of literature review, and I will present the methodology part that we started quite recently. So the topic is about how digital literacy influences the aging well process of elderly immigrants. First, we have the concept of digital literacy, which is a really, really broad concept. It encapsulates also the access to information, the exposure to disinformation, the content creation, and so on. And this is a particular subject that we started to study in this cost action concerning the older adults and older workers. Concerning the aging well process, also it's a quite wide concept, because it's not only about health, so it also means social integration, sense of trust and civic participation, and how this affects elderly immigrants. So it's quite narrow, not just older adults, not just older workers, but elderly immigrants. I will present some literature to start from, where we started from. So we have the problem, like older immigrants experience aging well quite differently, from native-born older adults, due to a lot of factors intersecting themselves, like cultural adaptation, financial inequity, digital exclusion, and transnational identity. So first, the concept of aging well is not only limited to physical health, but also includes social integration, civic engagement, why not, interpersonal trust, and also institutional trust. These social factors are necessary to reduce loneliness and marginalization, which is quite relevant not only to elder people, but also to elderly immigrants. And also it enhances psychological resilience to sustain overall the quality of life and the quality of aging well. At the same time, we talk about digital literacy, which is not a concept limited to using digital tools like phones, laptops, and so on, but also includes critical analysis of digital content, creating and sharing online information. They also have unequal access to accurate information, especially when we talk about immigrants, elderly immigrants. And of course, vulnerability to misinformation and disinformation or fake news in general. The situation of the older immigrants with these digital inequalities may really hurt their social integration, civic participation, and trust in communities, governments, and health system. What we noticed that there is an increasing concern about the impact of digitalization on the elderly, and there are a lot of number of studies on older adults. On the other hand, there is no systematic review, or there are quite few studies that looks exclusively on older immigrants in this context. So we found a research gap, a scientific gap. There is no systematic review that looks exclusively at older immigrants in the context of digital literacy. And I think this is a start for a future research, more empirical one, to find out these answers. And now I will let Eda to tell you a bit about our methodology, and we will show you what we found out until now.
Yes. Hi everyone again. Thank you very much firstly for this opportunity to present this idea. Thank you for the initiative. Like it's really great that Matt and the Diginet had this call for papers related to elderly immigrants because like as we have studied a lot with Diginet, I mean, we focused on older workers, we focused on older adults, but there was really no work, or we haven't taught, I hadn't taught also like about elderly immigrants, because that is completely new set of people, right, that we haven't considered, at least I hadn't considered. And that's why when Alex sent that email about elderly immigrants, I thought it's very interesting because they are more open to fake news, as which is Alex I think focus, more research focus, and also like digital literacy, financial inequity or financial divide, because again they have no access usually to new technology related to banking, and which is also my area. So that's why I found it very interesting, and that's why I said like it would be a great work and great idea, and that's how I replied to Alex. And we thought that, as Alex highlighted, like there's really no systematic review. When we checked the previous literature, we didn't see any scoping or systematic review focusing on elderly immigrants or older immigrants. That's why we thought that this is a very interesting research path that we can look at. So we have, of course, this is still work in progress, as Alex highlighted. So we started to think about the keywords, right? Like, because when you start with the review, systematic or scoping review, like you need to be very careful with your keywords. Like you all know, I think maybe better even than me, because I learned this methodology like during the training school in Yash during Diginet, which was a great highlight really. So yeah, we started with the keywords. Maybe I go to that slide. Yes. So we first thought with Alex like what should be the keyword structure, well, how we can search, and this is like the search string that we tried. It's almost the same, but there are some small differences, and that even makes a difference. So we have several different parts that we combined. So the one part would be focusing on digital literacy, the end part. One part is focusing on like engagements of older immigrants, their like social participation, social connectedness, and of course one part about older immigrants, older adults. So this is how we tried. So we first started with Web of Science, because we said like let's first decide with the keywords, and then we will use the same keywords across different databases. We had different tool searches, like one Alex tried, the second one I think, and one I tried. So yeah, this is the idea. So we would be very happy to hear your ideas, like if you think there is something missing, or we can have a better search strategy, please feel free to let us know, because as I said, we are still in the making progress, and we are trying to finalize our search strategy keywords. And as we expected, like there are very few papers. Can you go back, Alex? One more, because I skipped that slide, I think. Yes. Yeah, so I wanted to show you first the keyword strategy, and we also had to decide, of course, across databases. So we are planning, of course, Web of Science and Scopus and maybe EBSCO. So we will also check maybe other databases later on. Again, you can suggest us some databases that you think we can find more papers. Uh, of course, we decided for the inclusion and exclusion criteria, so we will only look at peer-reviewed articles. We selected the time period between 2016-2026. Actually, the first paper that we found is from the year 2018, so even there are no papers in 2016 or 17, and I will think there are no papers even before. So this is a very new topic. This is a very ignored topic for sure. And the population will be older immigrants, migrants, foreign-born, elderly. The focus is the digital skills, digital literacy, misinformation, and internet use. And related to that, how they are socially connected, how they feel safe, how they participate, how well they are integrated into the society, considering these challenges that they might face. We will exclude books, chapters, and reports. If there is a study only on older adults without a migration component, we will also ignore that, of course. Medical only studies, and for non-English articles, we don't know, because like we found a Spanish article, I think, like we still didn't look to the full paper. So maybe if we can find a person who can translate it to us, maybe we can include some non-English articles, but we haven't decided yet. You can go to the table, Alex. Yes. So these are the from our searches, we found like 5 to 7 papers. So with these two different search strategies, this is the first search what it yielded us. So they are really into the topic, they are really to the target, like we found. So it shows that our search keywords are good in that sense, but of course maybe we can make it a little bit better with your suggestions. Yeah, so the first one is older immigrants, like Pakistani older immigrants. Punjabi is from Pakistan, as far as I know, and Chinese immigrants in Canada. So most of the studies that we found are from Canada, like the older immigrants, their integration in Canada. And there again, another, 3 studies are from Canada. And then there is this one, quality of elderly Chinese immigrants, but we still didn't look to the full paper. So, but from the abstracts, it seems to the point. And then there is this Spanish paper, as I said, the abstract was in English, but I suppose the full paper is in Spanish. So we will think about that if we can find a native speaker that can read for us. For the second search, so actually we got different papers, so I don't know, we need to play with the keywords, I think, in that sense. So again, this is from China, Vietnamese refugees, again, their social inclusion and digital social capital. So yeah, so these are the studies that we had found, and the search strategy yielded different studies, because that's what we were speaking with Alex before the meeting. We were saying whether they had different results or the same papers, but it seems they are different. So we need to check the keywords, maybe combine them together to have one search and get all the papers. You can continue, Alex. Yes. So we are, as we said, so we are still in making progress. So we are still trying to get the final search strategy, and we are open to your suggestions. Of course, should we expand our inclusion criteria? Because as you have seen, there are not many studies, but this is what we expected. So we are not very surprised in that sense. how can we improve the search string, the keywords, and if you have any other suggestions, we would be very happy to hear them. And we thank you a lot. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. Eda or Alexandra, could you go back to the slide which has the search string? So I think in answer to your question, it would probably be if we have a quick look at that. Can you tell us again, what is the distinction between the two search terms? So the first,
I highlighted, yes, with the colors. There the differences on the colors.
Oh, I see. Okay, so they're the same three basket of terms. You've got older adults, you've got digitalization, and you've got migrants.
And integration, aging well, social integration, yes.
And okay, yeah. Well, let me open up the floor first to ask, does anybody have feedback on the search terms and ways in which maybe they can broaden the search a little bit? Lavina?
On your work, Ross, and your intention, I think, is amazing to go to this specificity of migrants in general. I noticed that you use those terms migrant, immigrant, and refugee. I would suggest perhaps adding the term asylum seeker or just asylum, because it's a category that may have had some studies on it. I don't know if that's the case.
Do you hear well? Do you hear Lavinia well? Because I don't hear.
No, you have some problems with the mic, maybe, or something, or maybe you had.
Okay, I'm trying to. Is it better now? Okay, I will remove the headphones.
Maybe without headphones.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Great. So my first part was with congratulations on this idea of working with refugees. I think it's a nice expansion of our cost action, and I was just suggesting that in the line when you searched migrants, immigrants, or refugees, you may add asylum as a term. Because it's heavily related, and it's possible that perhaps someone studied the situation of asylum seekers particularly, and it is included in the notion of in the broad notion of migrants. So perhaps it's of use.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lavinia.
Thank you for your work. It's really a very nice endeavor here.
Thank you.
All right. Oliana?
Yes, I want to congratulate as well our colleagues for the work, as I pretty much relate with this research field because since long time I have researched digital skills, media literacy, even within the framework of this cost action. Just about the key terms and about a bit the conceptualization of the research. When we speak about inclusion, about how skills maybe can help inclusion and also can help to build some sort of human capital or social capital of migrants. We have to keep in mind, especially with this population or this sample of older migrants, something that might be related to some under definition of migrations. You know that these older adults usually they are not second generation of migrants or third generation. It happens very rarely that they are like this. Usually they are first generation of migrants. So you have to keep in mind a bit how maybe why this first generation of migrants that are already since long time in some country, they would need these skills, and if you can compare with other generations, how it is with their children, with their grandchildren, how it is. Because in migration studies, it is really important to make this distinction between different generation of migrants. Because usually those who came first, some of us, we come from some countries that have had huge waves of migration. And the first generation of migrants was the one that suffered more this kind of integration, and maybe they are missing this kind of skills. Maybe you should stress this thing also.
Yes, yes, you are right.
Thank
yes.
you.
Thank you very much, Oliana.
I'm just going to put in the chat box here because I recently done a scoping review involving migrants, and I'll send you the search terms that we used.
Well, thank you, Matt.
Might
Okay.
be of use to you. Have you tried with the second one? Oh, somebody else's screen has just popped up. The terms relating to immigration and digital literacy, but excluding the ones on active aging, and see how many papers have come up.
Can you tell again, because I was copying your search strategy, Matt.
Oh, okay.
Can you tell me?
So if you look at the second search term, there's a set of terms for older people. And then there's a set on migration, and then on digital literacy, and then aging. Have you tried doing the search, but without the last search? So without any of the terms on aging, active aging, and so forth.
Just we didn't try that one.
That might generate quite a few. So older people, migration, digital literacy. Hopefully, we'll get a few more.
Okay. So you say remove the last part, aging well part.
Give it a try, and I can see with the first set of search terms, it's older people, immigration. And with the older people one, you could always go into the scoping review that we did before on digital literacy. Actually, you could do it with both. Use both the search terms on digital literacy and older people. Maybe that's the way you do it. So you've got a copy of the latest version of the scoping review, and we're just about to, you might be wondering where that's going. We're just about to put that into a journal now. It just needs a little bit polishing up. But take the search terms that we use for older people and digitalization, and then take the terms that I have there for migrants, put them all together and see what you come up with there, because those are all three of those are fairly broad, hopefully inclusive sets of search terms that you can use and see what they come up with.
Do you mean the scoping review that we did with Maria, or does someone?
Yeah, that's right, the one with Maria. So you should have the latest version of that. I think it's got the search terms that we used, and what we did there, which you probably want to do as well here, is to combine search terms. So you could have one set of search terms on. Well, I guess you could do it one of two ways. One is that you just have the search terms of older people. Again, first scoping review, you can get all the terms for that. Migrants. Take the search terms in that I put in the chat box, and digitalization. Again, go back to the scope and review, get the terms, see how many come with that.
Yes.
And then you can say that if you do those two search terms plus the terms that you use for social inclusion, see how many come from that, and then do it with active aging, see how much come with that. If those two searches generate enough articles, then just go with those. If it again comes back with single-digit number of papers, then just take social inclusion and active aging out of it and see how many papers come up just with those search terms, because I think it's broad enough.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
And the latest version, did you send it again, Matt?
I could circulate. I'll send you a copy of it.
Okay.
But the earlier versions, we didn't change the
Fine.
search
Yeah, we
terms.
didn't change it,
Just new
right?
stuff.
Yeah.
See what it come up with.
Okay.
We've got another question here. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the name.
Yeah, that's probably me because I cannot change the name. It's university account. So
Oksana, no?
yes,
Oksana.
Oksana. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
I come from Ukraine, so the topic is quite, like close and painful for me. Like in 2021, I was interested in digital literacy and digital skills, but then we applied a project for Erasmus, digital skills for refugees. It was focused not on Ukrainians, as you understand, at that moment. So it was more about literally the refugees, and those countries involved were Germany and Italy and Poland. And then suddenly in 2022, when Russians came, Ukrainians became also a target audience, but we are not refugees, we are forced migrants. It is also a different term for understanding. And so now I see a very different context, and it's not more about the keywords which for search, but more like inspiration for you, because for 4 years I plan to start this research, but seems like I cannot. So maybe you take it over, please. So in this project, which I was telling you about, we made a lot of analysis of people, of course, because we were designing some learning tools for them, and we pilot tested them. So we found out that digital literacy, it's one thing, but digital skills which people have, what they want to obtain, they depend on many factors, and you really need to, like, you cannot unify it. You really need to understand which particular target audience you're talking about, because it strongly refers to nationality. In our project, we had people coming from, for example, Syria, and we had people coming from Ukraine. And the digital skills courses which we designed for them, they were unified, as you understand. And we got the feedback from Ukrainians that, oh, I'm sorry, but I don't have anything to learn there because I know everything. And then comes next level, like if it's if this person comes from the nationality which has the limitations, like the religious limitations, like for example, Muslims from Arab countries, they couldn't attend the classes even if they wanted. So we had to search for opportunities how to bring them in. Then if these people are alone or they have someone, and this who is someone of the same age or someone who is younger and can help with digital skills obtaining. Then language, of course, then background, profession, and education. Those people who were coming from such countries like Ukraine, they had, in average, high level of education that helped them to get this digital skills easier and faster. And the final point here is that aging is different in different countries where these migrants get. Aging in Czech Republic and aging in Austria is totally different. And it's not even, like the level of income of these people, but it's also like the starting point where they arrive. So it refers also to quality of life in general, to opportunities, and also to level of digitalization in this country. Because digitalization in each of these countries are different, so requirements to these people will be different. So this is just for inspiration. If you want to hear more, you can contact me. I will text my email.
Sure. Thank you, Oksana.
Thank you, Oksana. Yeah, it's more complex, actually.
Yeah. Too many factors.
There's two thoughts on that. One is, if you'd like to do a paper, really welcome it, because it sounds like you've got some great perspective on this, especially some of the practical challenges of upskilling migrants on digitalization, and a really good policy focus there. I've got the link with this, but also, one of the ways in which to develop a scoping or a systematic review is to get feedback from practitioners and those who are affected by the subject. So maybe there might be an opportunity to get some feedback on the paper that Alexandra and Eda are developing. With the scoping review, we use the older worker reference group as a point, but certainly that's something that reviewers like to see, that you get some perspective from people in the real world on the subject.
Yes, and we wanted to ask to Iris. Is she still here?
Yes.
Iris?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Thank you. Iris, we wanted to ask you, last time I remember in last year in training school, where was it? In Krakow. You said that it needs to be always older workers to get funding from Diginet. Is this still the case, or?
It should be, yeah. That's
because,
because this is a focus, digitalization and older workers, yeah.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that you can't try.
Okay.
But yeah, so okay. if we have, I mean, this is the thing, if we have a money for 5 and we only have 2 and yours, now fine. If we have 10, then you understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can try. Okay. Okay.
So can I just ask one question? The numbers here, the 5 and 7, this is not sufficient. You would want to have more references. Is that right?
Ideally, if there are studies, okay. Yes. But
I just wonder about language here. Yeah. So because you have some countries that in the last 10, 20 years had lots of migration, different types, and one of them is Germany. So I would think there is something there, but I don't know whether these things are written in English or rather in German. This is now a big question, yeah. But anyway, you have Petya Genkova, you can always maybe connect with her on this.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, I would say this would be a big issue or challenge and topic in Germany, for example, that we didn't have so much migration. It started in the 90s or early 2000s. So there must be things written on that. But yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So anyway, well done. It's a very interesting topic. So.
Thank you.
Well, can I ask you, would I be considered a migrant, and Matt as well? Would we be considered migrants?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was actually my initial. Well, sorry, I will then you stop because this is in this webinar. What's the definition of migrant? Yeah, but okay, I guess you.
But I suppose you will not be considered because you are all European. Matt, you're American or?
He's American, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe he would be considered as migrant, but you wouldn't be, I think, no? Because in Europe you can work freely everywhere, and you don't need migration, no?
In the paper, I would probably consider for the group that you're interested in, probably not. I did a scoping review. As I mentioned, it's going to be at in the next issue of Journal of Aging and Social Change. We put at the start a definition that Anthony Warnes gave before of what he called aged in place migrants, and it's kind of an unhelpful term, because when we're thinking about when we talk about age in place, the conventional definition of that is being able to live your life as you age in your own home. But the way he used it was to say, to define this as people who have experienced lifetimes of discrimination, economic exclusion, and precarity in work. So how over the life course, that exclusion has put people in a place when they're older, which is more disadvantaged than they otherwise would be. I wouldn't fit that definition because because I haven't faced that issue of exclusion. So it is important to put in, I think, as somebody else mentioned before, you're also talking about first generation migrants as well, because issues around language barriers, legal status, accreditation of skills acquired in home countries and so forth aren't experienced by their children or the grandchildren or whatever else. There are obviously issues of differences between migrant groups as well. But I think a nice definition, I can share with you the paper, is an aged in place one, which restricts the definition to people who who have faced that exclusion. So technically I am a migrant, but I don't profess to have experienced the same kind of exclusion that other migrants have faced.
It's because, sorry, okay, this is a different topic here, but can I just say, so once you said something now, shouldn't then the definition also include maybe expats, not just migrants?
Yeah, it is. This is a very broad, let's say, concept of migration. But my suggestion in the study concretely, to not get lost, is or you keep the broad thing, then you put everything in the basket, from normal migrants to asylum seekers to refugees to expats, or maybe you choose one of these and you search on that. For example, the colleague from Ukraine, she had very interesting findings, because she worked with people that I could guess that they are migrants, but some of them from Syria or from the Middle East, even asylum seekers or refugees. I don't know. Me, myself, I prefer when things are a bit narrowed. Then if you want to consider the broader scope, it is interesting as well, but a bit difficult, a bit challenging.
So do you think if we put the word expat together with migrant or expat, maybe to that part?
Listen, there are different studies that focus on expats, and the same lenses, for example, in terms of skills and in terms of adaptation, integration, and everything. There are the same tools that are used to study migrant population, but expats, they go differently in another country. They already have a job. Their upskilling or reskilling, it is made within the framework of that the company, or usually multinational companies, they have some kind of training and development programs for them to build their capacities, to upskill and reskill them. But they experience issues that are comparable to normal migrants as well, in terms of adaptation. Intercultural competence, it's very important for everyone, not just...
Yes. Oksana wrote, migrants are those who have changed their country of residence. But I don't know, legally, is that the definition? I'm not sure, because like for European Union, again,
you have to search on IOM, on this International Organization of Migration, an official definition of what it is considered a migrant.
I think
maybe it is the right way to start from that.
Yes, I think so.
Lavinia?
Yes, I agree. Any definition that already has been agreed upon is useful. However, it's important for the authors to find the meaning that's closest to their meaning. So, what kind of migrants do they want to study? What is the idea behind the migrant which led them to the study? What in particular is it the mere fact that they came to the country of residence? Because then yes, we can go with the broadest definition, which is the one that some of the returns. So yes, definitely anyone who has changed their country of residence may qualify as a migrant. But is that the idea of your start? Yes, like with someone future presidents are either going towards a more narrow approach than, for instance, what Matthew said, that he doesn't feel himself as a migrant due to the fact that he did not face the adversity or is associated with the idea of being a migrant. So, besides which specifically is the idea of being a migrant I was trying to analyze people. And then, just for the definition of skills is to agree.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, we should decide and narrow it down a bit.
Great. So let me first thank Ada and Alexandra for this great presentation, and everybody for the constructive feedback. If you have any further thoughts or feedback, I'm sure they'd be very happy to get an email from you. I'll now turn the floor over to Oliana Sula, who is part of the management department at University of Durrës, and she'll be speaking on her research. This is a generational focus one on navigating the future of work in multi-generational workforces for Gen Zs in Western Balkan countries. Oliana, if you have slides to share, you can just share your screen.
I do have. Let me try. Can you see now?
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. So I'm Oliana Sula, as Matt already presented very well me. I'm from Albania, from the city of Tirana, actually, but I work in the other city at the seaside, 38 kilometers from here, from Tirana, in Durrës. As my main areas of research, let's say, are two, and that they are connected also with the subjects that I teach at the university. One, in which also my PhD, like 7 years ago, 6 years ago, was on digital readiness, or I call the concept online social network readiness for entrepreneurship and the labor market. But I worked previously a lot with younger generations, at that time with millennials, because Generation Z were not yet in the labor market. Then another topic of my interest is also always in the field of soft skills, which are sustainable skills. And also my participation in cost actions is always related with these two areas of interest. Although I have also conducted research also on women participation in business and women leadership as well, but always it goes in this area of soft skills. So what I decided to present today is something that, okay, I have been researching, but somehow it was parked somewhere because I had some projects going on at the university, and then I decided to get back into that, which is on how we should tackle this thing that will be very common for business organization, and it is still very common for many business organizations, or for the majority of them, which is the multi-generational workforce. But I focused in our region, in my region, in the Western Balkan countries, because let's say that we didn't experience this problem of aging of the population in the past. I must say, when I started to work, or until just before the pandemic, when it really started to feel this issue, even in the business framework, that population started to age. We had more, let's say, people who were in the baby boomer generation, who were at work and who were not pushed to retire as it happened before. But also the natality rates, they decreased. And also in our region, we face another problem, which is also migration and brain drain. Yes, it happens also today, but all this has created a situation that in many business organizations, or not in many, I must say in the majority of them, we see people from 4 generations sharing the same workspace. This workforce is becoming, or is, multi-generational. And what happens, it is that in the micro level, especially also because apart from being a lecturer at the university, I work also with business organizations as a corporate trainer in soft skills. Many times now, what, especially in teams and in teamwork, there are a lot of difficulties on how to make a team work when people from multiple generations come. And also another thing that the region is experiencing, I'm speaking also from my own perspective, we don't have also culturally such thing of having a kind of aging readiness. Aging readiness, not only in terms of well-being, but also from the fact that we will be much longer in the labor market that other generations. Of course, for someone from the Generation Z, it's too early maybe to think of an aging strategy, or to think how to cooperate and or to think, sorry, on how to improve the soft skills for the future and for the future or his or her work. We have always been young. But I guess that these concepts of aging, lifelong learning, of multi-generational teamworks are an emergency for all business organizations. If we see at the generations that we have currently in the workplace, these generations are not different, not only from a point of view of age, but also from a point of view of how they are connected to work and to the working culture, and what are their expectations from work, especially in our region. So if we speak about baby boomers of our region, this generation was a generation who a good part of their life, they lived this in communism. Those who stayed, of course, in Albania and who didn't migrate or who didn't stay in Western Balkan countries, they have pretty much different working culture compared to other generations because they have, let's say, they value a lot, especially from what happened after the fall of communism, job security, stability. Most of them, they struggle with digital skills and, of course, with AI skills. It is a generation who is a bit less flexible compared to other generations in terms of work flexibility, hybrid work, and also remote work. And as well, this generation, when it comes to well-being and work, this thing of having good working conditions and having a great mental health at work was not something that was mentioned a lot, because in the past these concepts were even considered as taboo. The important thing was just to have some work, and that's it. But this is very interesting. This generation, it is the generation that is willing to stay longer in the labor market, especially in my country, in Albania. We have a huge part of this generation that it is those that of course that are in good work health conditions, physical and mental health conditions. They prefer to stay longer in the labor market because they have, I must say, this very communist relationship with their job. For example, I can take as an example my parents, who are both baby boomers, and they are still in the labor market. They retired officially some years ago, but they still continue to be part of the labor market, and in a very proud way. Then we have Generation X. Let's say that now most of the managerial positions in Albanian business organizations, they are held from Generation X, but also some from baby boomers. Now, let's say my generation, I'm a millennial, they started to have millennials some kind of managerial positions. This is the generation who seeks the leadership positions, and it's a generation who appreciates a lot to be independent, to be responsible. They are the generation that in terms of digital skills and AI skills, they managed very well the transition. But still, they are a kind of hybrid, let's say analog and digital. They have both aspects. When it comes to, okay, I will add something about millennials because it escaped to me to put one slide. Maybe I forgot. But when it comes to millennials, what happens to millennials, which is my generation? Let's say that my generation lived most of our life was during this transition period. Actually, we have a very idealistic and utopic relationship with work and with job. Let's say that this is the first generation that started to care more about well-being at work and also aspects of mental health at work. But in the same case, it is the generation that faced most job insecurity at work. In terms of adapting to the digital transition, I guess that this is the first generation who did, let's say, a great job in adapting with digital transition, but also is the generation that, together with the Generation X, has experienced a lot of brain drain. When it comes to Generation Z, which are my students and former students, born after 1997, 1998. Let's say that this is a very interesting generation, at least for me. I wonder how they will be in the future. I guess that they will be very great, but I see a very pragmatic generation. A generation that has a higher acceptance, of course, of digitalization, of AI revolution, but they have different values compared to other generation. And while working in the multi-generational workforce, this is the generation that is more practical and more pragmatic. Usually, they sometimes they would also not prefer even to work in multi-generational teams, because they feel that sometimes it's very difficult to navigate in the relationships between different people and these value clashes. And sometimes they feel that there is a lot of micromanagement from other generation, especially coming from Generation X and from baby boomers. And also, this is the first generation that doesn't want leadership roles. And they don't value leadership positions as much as other generations. So for this, they have this, let's say, from one side, desire to not commit, but it is not just desire to not commit to a leadership position. It is also because their ambition is not to be in a leadership position. And actually, what is the major struggle of business organizations today, especially also in the Western Balkan countries, is that those in managerial position cannot find a proper language on how to deal, especially with Generation Z, and how to make the other generations work with Generation Z. And also when it comes to this thing of the digitalization, they feel that Generation Z is great, is doing, has a lot of skills, they are very pragmatic, they learn very fast, but they lack somehow some kind of social intelligence in the concept of Daniel Goleman, in order to collaborate with others. There is, of course, a lot of there is some literature on multi-generational workforce, focused mostly on work motivation differences, on communication patterns, on what are the employee expectations from different organizations, on skill gaps between different generations. There is also as well on how let's say, some kind of soft skills they are perceived from different generations, and also, especially in terms of digital skills, there is some literature in the field, but this is not focused in, let's say, the broader term of the multi-generational workforce, but focused in different generation mostly. We have a lot of literature review about Generation Z and baby boomers, but not so much when it comes to Generation X and to millennials. Okay, we have some, but in that time they were considered like young people, because we have some literature about digital skills of millennials and their adaptation to work some 10 years ago, or about Generation X some 20 years ago. But we don't have, let's say, current studies that study that. And of course, there are not a lot of studies, empirical studies in the Western Balkan context that focus in the study of the multi-generational workforce. Also, when it comes to the Western Balkan region, apart from what I said before, also during the introduction, I must say that from one side, we have low awareness on the aging of workforce, and also on having a multi-generational workforce that will include people that are aging every day. But from the other side, also the organizational culture of business organizations in Albania I feel that it is not prepared for having some kind of multi-generational workforce. They adapted digitalization, digital transformation, AI transformation sometimes when it was the case, but they forgot the most important value in business organization, which are people. There are a lot of gaps that exist in terms of skills. We have soft skills gaps that I already mentioned, that have to do with on how to manage conflict, on how to work in teams, on how to communicate effectively with teams, on how to deal with hierarchy and leadership. But especially with hierarchy, because we are a high context culture, and you know how communication style and leadership style sometimes it is in high context cultures, and especially in our countries, which the leadership style still is stuck between being, let's say, authoritative and democratic. We don't have such a thing of participatory leadership yet. And also when it comes from the managerial perspective, still we have this theory X of management that dominates in many business organizations. That in order to get people motivated, we prefer to, let's say, motivate them in a very old school way, not like those beautiful theories of the Epsilon theory of management, when you motivate people in a more, let's say, emotionally intelligent way.
Okay. Oliana, sorry to interrupt. You have 2 minutes left. Thank you.
Okay, so I together with some of my students, because they had a work assignment on their internships to do on 2 businesses on teamwork. We investigated 2, let's say, they collected data from 2 companies working in the service sector, especially providing outsourcing on advertising services, where different generation work together in the same office. And we saw a bit the dynamics of work. And what we identified, that the skill mismatch dominate. There is still a soft skills gap, an AI and digital skills gaps in between generation. And what it is important is that workplace, let's say, sometimes doesn't provide a growth space for career development for different generations. Thank you very much, and I'm sorry that, because I know that it is the end of the seminar and everyone might be a bit tired.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me open up the floor for questions. Well, can I maybe start to ask the question because
Yes.
we have the opportunity to dive deep into the case studies. What were some of the conclusions from the case studies in terms of how usually older generations who are in management are able to manage younger generations who are more likely to be in roles in which they're being managed, and what are some of the disconnects which might lead to inefficient HR practices?
So we had 2 companies. One company, they were both providing, they were in the service sector, providing advertising and marketing services to companies, usually that are from Italy, also even from Germany for, I guess, for some I don't remember now what were their clients. And the students in one company, they were, let's say, interviewed or maybe had discussions, not proper interviews, with one team that was composed, I guess, from 12 or 15 people. I'm not sure. Because in one were 12 and in the other one were 15. So same size, more or less. Some of the main challenges that the managers face, especially with Generation Z, is that they don't prefer to have some kind of authoritative leadership when tasks are divided and they are communicated to them. They don't prefer the kind of leadership that it is a bit authoritative and old school. And in most cases, they don't prefer to have, let's say, some kind of authority line at all as well. But what it is also interesting, it is in terms of, let's say, getting a job or being part of a team for these generations is really important to have a kind of job. But at the same time, they don't feel fully committed or fully into the job. So leadership, of course, sees it as a problem of lack of responsibility, and of course doesn't see also from a point of view of HR management, this can lead to a very low retention rate of young people as well, because they go for the job, but they don't know how long they will stay, because if they don't like, they go away. So I guess we all have some people from Generation Z in our houses as well that still they didn't find their path. They try and try and try, but they have the issue of commitment is really, really, and also on how to talk, to find a language on how to talk to people. Because as here in the Balkans, we lack a bit of our communication is not the best inside business organizations sometimes. Some kind of communication styles, they were more tolerated in the past, but now Generation Z is the first generation that doesn't accept a kind of, let's say, aggressive or passive-aggressive communication from the leadership and also from teammates who are older in age. Because in our culture, we learn, let's say, to have a kind of respect for older people, even at work, and we must listen to them. At least my generation was brought up like this. But I don't see this in the Generation Z. They don't have this thing. And also, this was one of the main conclusions of the case studies.
Can I ask, is this with the case studies that you studied, is this a priority area? So do organizations have processes to give Gen Z and millennials some voice and some say over the HR policies which are governing their work?
Okay, luckily, these two case studies that we had, they are part of, we must say, according to the definition of Albanian businesses, they are considered not small and medium enterprises, they are considered, let's say, big or corporate. Because they have a huge turnover and they have more than plus 500 employees. So they have clear HR policies when it comes to training and development and when it comes also to promotion. But the word youth on how to catch young talent and on how to promote it and on how to retain it, it's not really clear in their HR practices.
Because I could see a situation where there might be drivers for an organization to set up structures to address issues of exclusion and discrimination. For example, if they keep hiring young people and young people keep leaving the organization.
This is a real problem for many business organizations here, because they keep hiring young people from one side, but they don't stay more than 1 year. They are lucky if they stay 6 months at least. And I guess also that they need to figure out somehow on their policies and also on their strategy, business strategy, on how to deal with that.
Maeve.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you very much, Oliana. Really very interesting study, and interested to see your findings. I'm wondering if you are thinking of extending this study beyond the Western Balkans, and if so, where would you think of conducting this study? Where else?
For me, I mean, I had the opportunity also last year to participate in one forum in Czech Republic, at Equal Pay Day Forum, where I spoke about this topic, but from a perspective of gender, more than from the perspective of, let's say, the whole population. I guess that this study, it would be very relevant for the whole Europe, let's say, or maybe even to compare some countries from high and low context culture in Europe. It would be more interesting to see, because as we speak also about soft skills and also about some other concepts that are connected to the cultural background, it would be interesting to compare maybe countries that are a bit in a different cultural background, not just focused in our region that it is high context culture, but also a different kind of high context culture, not the same like in Italy or Spain, I guess.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Oliana. And sorry, just one thing. It would be great if the speakers wouldn't mind sharing their presentations
Yes.
with myself or Matt or Iris, and we can then make them available if you're okay with that.
Yes, of course, no problem.
Sure.
Thank you.
I suppose if you extended this to other countries, there would be the issue of definition of generations. I've seen definitions which focus on major turning points and how cohorts might have shared experience of them. Some of those turning points are more or less universal. Like a major one is the rollout of personal computers into personal and workspaces. They might have come about at different points in different countries, but more or less, you know, there's a very big digital divide when it comes to age. I remember a time where we were talking about older workers in terms of their ability to use basic software like Word or writing an email or something like that. That's pretty much no longer the case, but there are digital divides when it comes to new technology, how people use AI. There are going to be some turning points which are very specific to either a country or a group of countries. So, you know, you highlighted the fall of communism, and that's going to be a very big divide, especially baby boomers, as you mentioned, your parents, and how they think about work, job security, skills, and so forth, which are going to be irrelevant to, say, the UK or the United States or so forth. If you do extend the study, how will you address that in terms of defining? Are the conventional definition of generations, the baby boomers, Gen X, and so forth, are they relevant everywhere? And it's just a matter of putting different timelines and defining each of them, or are there going to have to be completely different generations in different country contexts?
I think that in different country contexts, for some kind of values, they might be completely, and from what different generation lived as well, they might be completely different generations, especially for baby boomers and Generation X. But I guess that for millennials and Generation Z, I guess that especially for Z, let's say the cultural aspect is important also, but these differences are a bit less relevant compared to other generations. From what I see myself, even from my own work, that I work with youth from different countries, that I have the opportunity to work with youth, I see the generational difference more present in the past generation rather than this one, the Z one. Then for boomers, of course, and for X, and even for mine as well.
Does anybody else have any contributions, thoughts, questions? Well, it's a really interesting topic. It's something that I, to get on my hobby horse a little bit about this. Something that I think about in terms of the ongoing discussion on social media and young people, and the question of whether to have bans on social media for young people of certain ages and so forth. I'm always struck by the lack of discussion about about what young people think about this. And I'm not saying that regulation of social media is a good idea or a bad idea. I certainly think there are some some common sense regulations that could be put in place, but I'm struck by how young people are able to use social media in ways that I would love to be able to, in terms of expressing ideas, sharing, sharing thoughts and so forth. I'm very rudimentary in terms of how I use it. And the world that they're going into is going to be very different from mine. So it makes no sense to me that the only people who have a say in regulation on social media are people who are of my generation. Certainly we might have something to contribute, but our understanding of how young people use social media is probably very different from what reality is. And I think in your study, it would be quite interesting to see, well, are organizations thinking about this and saying, well, if our HR practices aren't managing the Gen Zs as well as we'd like to, maybe it would be an idea to talk to Gen Z
also
people.
For other generations. Also for other generations, Matt, sorry, because I feel that baby boomers and Generation X, that they are taken for granted from business organizations. So in how they manage, especially baby boomers, is like, oh, okay, you are not retired, we are making you a favor, you stay here, you do your job. Usually those who have a higher expertise, I don't know who are engineers, but especially teachers, we have, for example, they are now, there is a policy in Albania that for teachers and people from the medical sector, they are pushed to not get retired. They are keeping them with force to be, but I feel that they are just, we don't have a specific policy on how to treat these workers as well. Because of course they aged, they contributed a lot, and also I feel that in this region, even other generations are not prepared for aging in the correct way.
Yeah.
especially mine. I don't know, myself, I will turn 40 this year, and I feel that I have never been prepared for that. So it is a taboo. It is very interesting on how we think of aging in this area of aging well in this area of the world and of Europe.
Yeah. It's I guess it's a pitch for inclusive management practices. If you want to have workforces that are able to get the best out of people from multiple generations, and having multiple generations in leadership, not just generations, but also other aspects of life course, of experiences in work and so forth, then having everybody at the table will mean that you'll have policies which are responsive to the needs of everybody. Which is a nice thought to end on. So thank you so much for two excellent presentations, and thank you everybody for your contributions to the discussion. We're hoping to have another seminar. I've got one person lined up for March, and we'll hopefully have a second one as well. Iris mentions April as the next seminar, so we'll organize that and let everybody know, and I'll circulate the YouTube video once it's put out. So thank you all very much and for the excellent discussion.
Thank you.
Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.